Hi everyone, I'm Lindsay Strand, and today on Sweet Talk I'm making an amazing autumn leaves cake. This is a versatile vanilla cake with an autumnal ombre frosting up the sides, and it's topped with beautiful fall leaves. I can't wait to show you this one. So while my cakes bake, I'm gonna make my tuile batter. So these are gonna make the fall leaves that decorate the top of the cake. So here I have 2 cups of confectioner sugar. To that I'm adding 1 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour and just a pinch of salt. Give this a quick whisk, get all the big lumps out of the flour and the confectioner sugar. Tuiles are basically a really thin, crispy cookie. So you make a thin cookie batter with lots of egg whites, and then I'm going to be pouring this into a mold, and it's gonna make my fall leaves. They're really fun. You can do them in all sorts of shapes, colors, but it's kind of a nice touch and unexpected on the top of this cake. All right, I think most of the big lumps are out now. So I'm gonna make a little bit of a well in the center of my bowl, and I will add 6 large egg whites. I'm gonna give them a quick whisk with a fork to break them up. All right, a little frothy, put that into the center. And then 10½ tablespoons of melted butter. This has been melted and also cooled slightly so that it doesn't cook the eggs. 1 tablespoon of heavy cream, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, just to give that faint vanilla taste to the cookies. So now I'll just start stirring this from the center. I'm just going to stir this until it's combined. Just want to incorporate the dry a little bit at the time, so that's why we use the well method here, because it pulls the dry ingredients from the edges of the well into the middle, but it helps incorporate the dry into the wet mixture a little bit more slowly. All right, so this looks well combined to me. And now, just to get out the few remaining little lumps that may be in here, I'm going to push the batter through a sieve. Maybe I'll start with half of it. Just press it through like that, and the result should be a really smooth, beautiful batter. Since they bake so thinly, you really want to make sure that you don't have any remaining lumps of flour in the batter. All right. Last bit here. Scrape the bottom, make sure to get all the batter in there. And now this is going into the fridge to firm up a little bit for about 2 hours. So while my tuile batter is hanging out in the refrigerator, I'm going to assemble my cake and give it a crumb coat. I'm gonna start by splitting my cake layers. So I just like to score this through the middle all the way around. I know they have tools that help you do this if you're nervous about not doing it evenly, but I just like to score it evenly and then start to wiggle it through the center of the cake using that scored line as a guide. Like that. So I'll move this back and do the other one. You can see this cake's a little bit crumbly, so if you're having trouble with it, pop it into the refrigerator. It'll help tighten up the crumb a little bit so that you have an easier time splitting your layers. Just score around the sides. So you want to make sure your knife is held really horizontally here. I'm using a serrated knife, which has teeth on it, so it's better than a chef's knife for something like this, which is going to just smush your cake. So the teeth help to really saw through the cake. As you can see, I'm using a sawing motion through the center here and just through the middle like that. About a cup, I'm going to eyeball it, about a cup in the center of the cake. This is a Swiss meringue buttercream. We have recipes for this online at marthastewart.com. You want to do a generous filling to make sure it has that really beautiful, even stripe of frosting. So now I'm going to top with the top half of this cake. Now another cup size to give a nice, even layer here. Now the next one I'm going to place upside down. This is the key to building a relatively flat cake. And you can probably guess what I'm doing next. Another big scoop in the middle of my cake. Right. And finally, the last layer. This one also goes upside down, so you get that nice flat top on your cake. And now I'm going to do a crumb coat all around the edges of the cake. The goal here is just to cover any exposed areas of cake so that you don't pick up crumbs later. All right, so now I'm gonna take a bench scraper to scrape all the way around the outside to make sure that it is one even layer. And then I'm just gonna trim the top And that is it for our crumb coat. Just like that. So now this is going to the refrigerator while I bake off my tuiles. Just need to get it to firm up a little bit. My crumb coat's chilling and my tuile batter is ready, so now I'm going to tint the batter and make some beautiful fall leaves. So this part's really fun. I picked out some fall colors. I'm gonna do a red, and these do take a lot of coloring, so don't be shy here. Add a little brown to make it a darker red, and then I think I'll do gold and yellow. That sounds good, sounds like fall. And then this egg yellow, which is a bit of an orangey color. Great, so super easy, just mix these up. And as you can see, this batter is very pliable. It's like halfway between a batter and a dough. And all of the egg whites makes it kind of sticky. So there's the red. Mix this one. It's kind of fun to see what color they turn as you swirl it in. And there are a lot of natural food dyes out there now. These just happen to be super pigmented, so I like to use them on cakes, but you can definitely find alternative ways of doing this, or just leave the batter plain. It makes a really pretty light brown classic tuile. So you could definitely leave it as is and just dust it with a little confectioner's sugar if you don't want to dye them. All right. So there are my fall colors. And now to make the tuiles, I'm just gonna spoon a little bit of each color onto a silpat. I got these stencils online. You can find them at craft supply stores or baking stores, and they come in all kinds of shapes. There are hearts, there are triangles, there are spoons, but obviously since this is a fall cake, I chose some fall leaves. And I'm just dabbing a little bit of my first color on here. Red is so strong, I'm just gonna use a little bit. And the fun part about this is that you can just be random. So they're all gonna get swirled together in the end anyway, so you might as well have fun with it. You can put them down wherever feels natural and right. Don't worry too much about it, because it's all gonna get smeared together at the end anyway. And then my last color, more orangey. So now I have a little mini offset spatula here, and this is where the fun begins. Just give it a little bit of a swirl, and then I have a discard bowl here. So what you do with your offset is that you just give it a scrape straight across, and then scrape the excess away. And as you go, it's gonna become kind of like a tie-dye pattern. So you can kind of play with what directions you pull it in, but you don't want to mess with it too much, otherwise you're going to lose all of that pretty marbling. All right, so pick up my last stencil. These are going into a 375-degree oven for about 6 minutes until they're nice and crisp. So my tuiles are hot out of the oven, and while they're still hot, this part is a little bit tricky, but you want to run an offset spatula underneath and then lightly place them on top of a rolling pin or a wooden spoon, something that's gonna give them a little bit of curve so that they look more lifelike and like real leaves. But they do set up pretty fast because there's so much sugar in this batter that you have to work a little bit quick because they cool down as soon as they get off of the baking pan. I think these look so pretty. And you don't even have to worry if there's a little bit of brown on the edges, they just look that much more lifelike. This one I'll give a little shape like that. So while these cool off, I'm going to decorate the sides of my cake. So I've tinted the rest of my Swiss meringue buttercream with 3 colors that I used for the tuiles, so red, orange, and yellow. I'm just gonna snip a hole in the edge of the piping bag. This is not a perfect piping job, so you don't need to use a pastry tip here. Basically what I'm gonna do to create an ombre effect is go from darkest to lightest. A really easy way to do that is with a turntable like this. And what you wanna do is pipe with your darkest color at the bottom and drag it around the sides of the cake while you turn. I think I'm gonna do 2 stripes of this darkest color. This is all going to blend together as you go. So again, these first lines don't have to be perfect. And then I'll do 2 more stripes of my next color, which is orange. It's gonna create a really pretty, soft watercolor effect. Right. 1 more here. And then finally the yellow. Do a couple rows of the yellow. I'm gonna take the yellow all the way to the top since it's fairly light. I think it'll look really pretty. So now this part's really fun. I'm gonna take my bowl scraper and basically I'm just gonna go in one direction around the side of the cake. And then you want to take this and make sure that you scrape it and then go in the same direction as you keep moving to get that pretty ombre effect. And the more you do it, the more blended together it'll become. I like a really nice watercolor effect, so it's not so perfect in stripes. All right, just like that. So that's the sides of my cake. I saved a little bit of white for the top. I just want to even it out. Make sure it looks nicely finished. So 1 more layer on the top like this. All right, so the cake is frosted, and the final touch, our leaves are nice and cool. Now I'm trying to place them on top. I like to kind of pile them on top of each other, make a really pretty show-stopping topper. I like this maple leaf, so I want them on the outside. To me, this cake is pure celebration. It has those beautiful fall ombre colors, and the tuile leaves really take it over the top. I think anyone would love this at their birthday party, at any celebration in the fall. I think you guys have to try this at home. Let me know in the comments. Enjoy. If you're enjoying this video, be sure to like, subscribe. We have so many great fun videos on the Everyday Food channel.